So, should work. Hello, everybody. Let me just check here. Something's weird. Looks okay. It's okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoy the show. Just change this here. And hello, everybody. Hope you are all fine. Hey, we've got an early visitor. Come on. People want to see you. So welcome, everyone. This is the Shortwave Radio Show with Mr. Paul the Cat saying hi. And, of course, this is a show about radio. Let me just put the camera down a little bit so you guys can see Paul. And don't look at all the shit here. Nice to have everybody on board. Hey there. And we've got the early visitor now that's just arrived from outside. So he wanted to be in the show today. So hello, this is the radio show. This is Friday show. We are Friday, August the 24th, 2000 hours UTC. And every Fridays we talk about radio. And we are here to talk about radio once again. And hope everybody is going fine. The clock is there. It's a little bright from what I see. Maybe I could just do a little switch of the clock, something like this. Here we go. So you guys could see it better. And it's nice to see you. I'm on Radio Exterior de España, 17855 right now. And this is the Shortwave Radio Show. Look at the camera. People want to see your face, man. Yeah. I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to. So, hey everybody, welcome aboard, and of course I've got my beer. Cheers, everyone. So, this is, of course, a show about shortwave radio. We are here every Fridays, 2000 hours UTC. Let me just put the camera back up. I've set up the good old camera, the good old Logitech C920 again. For some reason, I looked at it last week when we did the live show at the barbecue, and I thought, you know what, let's set it up again and see how it goes. I was kind of curious since I've reformatted my PC, and hopefully it's going to work fine. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. Always nice to see everyone, and we are here, of course, to just have fun. There's a nice chat room for you guys if you want to join in. A lot of people, a lot of cool people, interesting people, and of course it's super fun to have all of the people there in the chat. I'm just gonna, for some reason the chat room's open at two places right now, so I'm gonna open the chat in a new window. Here we go, and I'll be able to have the nice little counter of how many people are watching at the same time, which is always fun. Here we go. Put that in the bottom. And here, we're set up. We're set up to have fun. So, of course, last week, we had our special Saturday show at the CIDX barbecue. A lot of people enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to be there. It's just, one of those events. It's really cool. I mean, it's meeting people that you see or that's in the chat room or you hear about, and having a great time with what we love, which is radio, and having fun outside in a beautiful summer day. It was a perfect day for that, and now everybody's trying to bring me in, so I should go to the Shortwave Winter Festival in Pennsylvania. So I had to. We're in August. It's happening like the last day of February. I think it was February 28th, something like that, and the weekend around there. I'll be checking that out for sure because everybody's telling me I have to go. It's one of the great places that any fan of radio needs to be. And also at the same time, it's one of those places that, I'd like to do a live show from there, things like that. So we're going to have to, I'm seriously looking into that for sure. for next year. Hey, in the chat room we have Helton Byington. Nice to have you here. Thanks for the nice comment. K3JWA. Yes, I did get your contribution on PayPal. Thank you for your donation. It was much appreciated. Matambali, nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Louisiana. Matambali is not very far from WWV in Colorado. We have Richard Cook in the UK. Nice to have you here. And yes, tomorrow there's a show. Tomorrow is on the other channel. It's the VHF UHF show tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Max Estrong, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board. Matambali was able to receive WWV on 25 megahertz last Sunday. Woohoo, this is cool. Dart Vegan, nice to have you on board. I like your name, Dart Vegan. There's that. It's kind of nice. It's like cosmic lettuce. I kind of like that. Dart Vegan. We have Radioactive. Nice to have you on board and good to see you also. Pretty cool to see you. Carol, always nice. And Mr. Paul wants to go there for some reason. What is CHU? CHU is the Canadian time signal. So you guys were talking earlier about WWV on 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 megahertz. CHU is on. CHU is on. Don't break anything, okay? So I'll just remove this so you can actually go on that and not break anything here. So CHU is a Canadian time signal. CHU is audible on 3330, 7850, and 14670. I actually was listening to the 3330 here just a few minutes ago so that I could actually fix the clock. So the clock is exactly accurate at UTC. So it's a Canadian time station. And there's a few time stations from around the world, by the way. Maybe I'll check out a page where we can find some time stations and frequencies that I can talk about a little bit. What do we have? Nicola Hughes, nice to have you here, listening to Palma Airport Tower. Cool. Dan Walsh, nice to have you here. Happy Friday from New York City. Of course, I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My name is Gilles. Apparently, I don't say it enough. Mantum Valley is listening to 12 meter right now. Leskin FT8 station this morning. Wow, that's cool. Pretty cool. Ken J, nice to have you here. Frank Tillman, hello there from Minnesota. Pretty cool. Yeah, different camera position. Actually, different camera. I put back the Logitech C920 and I actually put it in a different angle. I don't know. I'm still playing around with what I'm going to do with this. I still have no idea. One of the things I want is have like a permanent setup that I would kind of not have to play with all the time. Because, you know, when you have to do a live show and every time you got to set up everything, it gets annoying. If everything is just like, you know, perfect and set up right, I think it could be okay. Mr. G, nice to have you here. Rock the Tech Guy, hello there. WA9204SWL, David, nice to have you here from Illinois. And a new fan of my Android channel. Matthew Stratford, nice to have you here from London, UK. Diego Garibe, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Where are you located, Diego? Just out of curiosity. Alright, that guy says, nice 15 minutes late on the YouTube notify. That's YouTube. Jason Stafford, nice to have you here from Oregon. Dexfar74, nice to have you here from Germany. Mark Clark, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Bobby Burgess says 10-second lag here. Not bad. Charles Williams, nice to have you here. And he's in San Diego. Ukuli, nice to have you here from Eastern Pennsylvania. Nicola Hughes, yeah, the phone chargers and all of these gizmos, they are really, really crazy noisy to charge. My Galaxy S9 Plus phone charger does a little bit of interference, but it's actually not too bad, honestly. What else do we have? Great barbecue show. Thank you, Max Headstrong. Buster Brown, nice to have you on board. Says, I think the video now looks better than with the smartphone of last week. Okay, we'll see. Well, play with the camera. You know, it's and I got the camera, and I mean, I was like, maybe I need to you know, kind of set it up again and play with it. I think I need to have some, you know, some check out of that, because I need to play around with all of the settings here. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you here. It was really nice to have you and see you last week, and pretty cool to have you. And he's made me buy some cheese sticks from a local company here that I had never tried, and they are not bad actually. They're not bad at all. Pretty surprising. We have Jack N9IIF. Nice to have you here from Byron, Illinois. Spuds TV. Nice to have you on board, James. Pretty cool. Hey, Ray Kelly. Nice to have you here. Been a while. Pretty cool. Two Hands in the Radio. Hey there. Nice to have you here. Rock Ristorante. Nice to have you on board from Stockholm. Unfortunately, I cannot attend every Friday, but I try as often as possible. Yeah, you know, it's kind of understandable. We have our lives, you know. I don't think your lives revolve around my schedule, but it's my schedule that's somewhere in your life schedule. So we can't always make it, unfortunately. Voice of Korea in Korean, 12015, says Richard. Randall Klontz, nice to have you on board from Chicagoland. FX2 Mark 8, nice to have you on board from Michigan. Dave Todd, nice to have you here from Niagara, Ontario. Pretty cool. Mark says, are you a Rush fan? One of my favorites. I've never been a big fan of Rush. I do like some of the songs, but I've never been a big fan of Rush. I know some people are like just mad. Rush is one of those bands that it's either you like or you hate. I've noticed that people either like it or hate Rush. There's like no middle. I'm kind of in the middle. I like a few songs, but I'm not a fan. But you know, it's great. It is a great Canadian band. Mark T, nice to have you here. Says enjoy your shows from the park. Thank you. I'm so sad I didn't have time to make some this week. It was a crazy week, and got a little bit of personal stuff that's not going totally right. So all of that together made me have a lot of difficulty doing any videos from the park, or even my tech channels were a little bit suffering this week with lack of videos a little bit. I tried to post as much as I could. Should be back to normal starting next week, so don't worry, guys. We're going to have some more in the park. Next radio I'm bringing in the park is going to be the Texan PL680. I'm going to bring the DXing D1103. I want to bring one of those little analog portables, even the little R9012, Texan R9012, that's like, you know, 20 bucks. The Tivdio, see how the Tivdio V115 works in the park, things like that. Bullfrog89, nice to have you on board. KD2CXU, checking in. It's been a while. No longer at the St. Lawrence. Oh, really? Down near Albany, New York for college. Aha, yeah, it's that time again. It's that time again. Hey, Bobby, nice to have you here. And I haven't tried yet anything, but I can tell you that it's really a noise issue for the RM. But anyways, I haven't tried yet. I need to. I'll reset up somehow and have it working. Richard says WWV was doing a message at 4 minutes past the hour. Yeah, they do have announcements sometimes of different things or changes. I wouldn't be surprised. There could be a minute at the 4 minute would be for the you know, we're still talking about the money that isn't there for WWV, WWVH. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. I mean, you know, I've read many articles through the week of all the different science fields and teams that actually are dependent on WWV. I just can't believe that it would shut it down. I don't think they would shut it down. I would be very surprised. There's too many things. There was an article, I think it was on shortwavelistening.com, about WWVB signal on 60 kilohertz that, because if they shut it down, they shut everything. It's not selective. Somebody last week was telling me, oh, they're not going to shut WWVB. Oh, yeah, everything. If they shut down, it would be everything. That would mean every atomic clock in North America would suddenly have no more signal to synchronize to. And one of the things that I didn't think about, because, people have these atomic clocks, and in a day, in 2018, people don't think about radio waves, really. So a lot of people think that those clocks actually synchronize via the internet, which is not at all the case. These clocks synchronize using a radio signal on 60 kilohertz, and it comes from WWVB in Colorado. So a lot of people are going to be kind of surprised that their clocks would suddenly be off somehow. The clocks are not going to stop working. They just won't have that signal anymore so that they can synchronize with it. So I don't think it's going to happen. Honestly, come on. There's too many fields that depend on accurate time signals to have that shut down. Bill Mead, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania, and says gone 2 full days without rain. Wow. There's been it's still warm. It's like 28, 29 today outside. It's like we're almost at 30. We should be at like 23 Celsius, honestly. And we're like 28, 29. We're still very warm for this time of year. I actually had the air conditioning. I had it off for a couple of days because it was kind of cool. But today I just put it back on. It's too warm. And it gets warm in my office because of all the lighting and all the computers running and everything. So anyways. Spud Stevie's a number station enthusiast. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Gerald Monte, nice to have you here from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I don't believe we ever had somebody from Dominican Republic before. Welcome aboard. This is cool. Really cool. Vianney Arsenault, welcome aboard. Bienvenue. From Gaspésie, eastern part of Quebec. So this is nice. What else do we have? Oh, it's the GPS status message, Matambali. Okay, yeah, I remember they had the satellite GPS status, something like that. Yeah, DX color. Now because he's crashed it a lot, but his color, Paul's color is actually little pirate cats. So they're little cats with a patch on one eye. And they're all little pirate cats. And I thought, well, okay, with radio and everything, I think it's the perfect color. And he has a little medal that has his name on it and my phone number in case he gets lost. Mark T says, hello from Puyallup, Washington, USA. Nice to have you here. Casper Peterson, nice to have you on board, my friend. It's NIST special messages. Okay. Gordon Treadwell, VE6 GPT, nice to have you here. Good afternoon. And yes, I did get the email. We've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks. And like I said, I don't think it's gonna shut down. Well, anything can happen. You never know, but I don't think so. Honestly. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Rick Robbins, nice to have you here. Good afternoon. Charles Williams, Western Night. I heard Volmet weather on 6754 upper sideband. Kept saying Victoria. What can you tell us about it? 6754 upper sideband, Charles, is the Canadian military Volmet. It's from Trenton, Ontario, Canada. So it sometimes gets stuck on some stuff. I heard once being stuck on like with the same phrase all the time. It can happen, but 6754 is the Canadian military vomit. It is out of Trenton in Ontario, Canada, and there's 6754 and 15034 upper sideband, two frequencies where you can actually hear it. I haven't heard the 15 megahertz one in a long time, but I regularly hear 6754 upper sideband. So pretty cool. How many number stations are left? There's still quite a few, honestly. If you go to preom.org, the website, there's still quite a few of them from, like Poland, Russia. There's the ones from Cuba. And you know what? When you tune around a lot, I suspect there are some number stations on irregular schedules that probably pop up from time to time that we don't even know about until somebody hears something. So, Richard Clemens, nice to have you here. Says, hey, John, my V115 arrived earlier this week, getting some good results with it here in the UK. Fun little radio. I mean, for the price, I mean, the Tivio V115 is very surprising. Very surprising. Hey, Mr. Volts, nice to have you here from Latvia. But the V115, the problem with the V115 is two things. And I've seen that through a lot of people buying it. First of all, the construction quality, so the quality control isn't very good, and you have very different results depending on the radio you get. So I'd be curious to like purchase 10 of them and see each unit, because I see a very, very big difference with a lot of people. And there's one guy that I follow, Dave, that sends emails from time to time, and I've actually shared his website. He's got like several V115 to test, and he said they were like totally unequal. Some were good, some were bad, some were totally deaf. So there seems to be some quality control on the Tivio. And the other problem I would say would be there's a lot of background noise on that radio. I mean, it's obvious that the electronics from the receiver are creating a lot of hiss and noise through it. Also, the here where I am, the FM stations break through all the time. Huracan OM7AHU, nice to have you here from Slovakia. Do I understand some foreign languages? I understand French and English very well. A little bit of Spanish, but not really much more than that. I would say I would listen to all the Radio Exterior de España. I'll get some drift here and there from what they're saying in Spanish. Of course, French is my native language. I was born speaking French. I learned English later in my life, actually. So that's pretty much for me. The French and English is the two languages I understand and speak well. The Spanish, don't ask me to speak. I'll get the drift of what's being said if I listen and just be careful in the conversation. Ivan, nice to have you here. Icholakov, always nice to have you here. Yeah, you're not the only one. A lot of people are sharing that WWV and everything. Matambali, Radio Exterior España signal improving here on 17855. Jerry says rain on the way here. Here we're kind of having a pretty nice weekend, a little mixed, but hey Bobby, is there going to be a cut with production of the XH Data D808? You know what? I think they're having a lot of difficulty making them. I wanted to purchase one twice. The first time it was about 200, and basically the price was like at $200, which is too expensive for me. And the other thing is a lot. It seems to be available sometimes and not at other times. I think they're having a lot of problems. Hey, Nicola, nice to have you here. Vault says, Mrs. Star about WWV. Just wanted to comment on your last statement. The people we need precise time use it. They don't. They actually do vaults. I've many people in the field and in scientific fields, including some that come here, that tell me WWV is actually used all the time. It's surprising. I even was surprised. I didn't think people would, I was like you. I thought, no, in 2018 you must have some other way of getting accurate time. But you know what? It turns out that in many fields and many people actually that because when I talked about it, a lot of people came to me and said, no, they are used a lot, and WWV is essential in many fields. Cosmic Lettuce was telling me down in Arizona, where all the astronomy stuff that's happening and the science stuff that he's gone to, they actually have receivers with WWV to have the accurate time all the time. So it's like, oh, okay, it's used a lot more than I thought. Ronald Zucala, nice to have you here, says, would you pay $100 for a brand new G5? You need a G5, the Grundig G5? If you're talking about the Grundig G5 receiver, if it's brand new, never opened, I would think $100. I would probably fetch $100 for a unused, unopened, brand new in the box G5. I would probably fetch $100. Yes, it's my favorite portable receiver. Honestly, it's one of the best that I have here as a portable receiver. Grundig G5, amazing radio. Brent Fraser, nice to have you here. Just south of Ottawa, Canada, VA3BFW. Nice to have you on board, Brent. Really cool. Yeah, I know Hawaii is getting pounded by the hurricane. It's not something we hear a lot of times. Yeah, Eric Cottrell, this is Trenton Military. You know what? I remember once it was stuck there. I think for 4 hours, all they were saying is, this is Trenton Military. This is Trenton Military. And it's like, okay, 4 hours of Trenton Military. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Eric Cottrell, for the preom.org number station. Phoenix Heat, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Pretty cool. Nice to see people from all around the world. Logiplex.net. Logiplex.net. His streaming looks pretty damn good. Wonder if he packs schedules and uses, it's just, I just have a really good internet access and a good camera. Mostly that. It's well done. What else do we have? Let's just check it out here. Steve in Australia, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. North Korea has a number station. There's Vietnam has a number station also, I believe. Hey, Mark Schmidt, nice to have you on board from Maine. Nice to see everybody here. Hey, MDK2, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Yvonne says, if you ever looked at an MFJ 1708BR switch, long name. Okay, well, check it out. Eric says, Jillian's excellent English speaker, 1,000 times better than my French. I've learned English. The reason I speak English like I do, and I don't pretend I'm speaking that well, I do have some little flaws here and there in my pronunciation or in sometimes creating the perfect phrase to explain something. But my English started, I was 5 or 6 years old. The only reason I started speaking English early is because when I would go out and play, my neighbors were Italian, and 2 neighbors which were about my age only spoke English, so I started playing with them. And of course, I started, I learned English from there. And it's, the best way to learn English, actually, when you're young age, and it's part of your daily playing with your friends thing, it's the best way to learn English, actually. And when I went, and I was a big fan of American TV. I would not watch local French language television here. When I was a teen, my friends didn't understand why I was hooked to American TV on cable, where they were all hooked to the French language, whatever was happening here. So I knew of some of it because my parents would watch the French language stuff, except my mom. My mom didn't, I never heard my mom speak English, but she understood it really well. And my mom would, when my dad wasn't there, my mom would listen to American TV shows. She would listen to, I remember when she was following MASH when I was young. And I remember following MASH indirectly because I was doing other things, but I would listen and watch while she was watching MASH and stuff like that. So through the times, and she would watch American TV sitcoms. I remember she was watching Alice one day at a time, stuff like that from the early 80s. And the Carol Burnett show, I remember. That's one of their shows she followed all the time. So I had that American culture stuff because my mom was watching that. And I would mostly watch movies, and I would always watch a movie in English because I always found that the translations in French were not always very good. So when I would go to the movies, I would always tell my friends, I would actually go to the movies with my friends that understood English because I would always want to view the movie in English, not in French. So, I was actually annoyed when somebody brought me to the movies and we had to watch it in French. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go back to the movies again and watch it in English, in the original language. It's the same as if it would be French. I mean, if it was a French language movie, I would not watch it in English. I would watch it in French. It's the original language. It's better. But anyways, what else do we have? V15 was inactive until 2016, says Spuds TV. Max says strong. One rumor about Sanjian getting out of shortwave market. You know what, Sanjian? When was the last time Sanjian did a shortwave radio, actually? Anyone you know? What was the last shortwave radio Sanjian ever made? I'm curious. They have the ATS 909X, which is a kind of a revamped, redesigned version of the old 909 that I have a copy here, which is the RadioShack DX398. So it's possible. I'd be curious to know how many receivers do they sell, actually. I would like to see numbers, actually, of any manufacturer. How many shortwave radios do you sell today? Especially when they're expensive. I mean, like the Sanjian ATS 909X is not a cheap radio. It's expensive for what it is. And it has to compete with tons of receivers from Chinese makers like Texan that have receivers that cost $50, $60, $70 that are damn amazing. So, pretty interesting. I wonder. There's a reason why Sony got out of the business. It's very simple. I mean, I don't think on 2018 it's a business that you want to be in, honestly. And Texan is there because Texan is a Chinese company, and they're in the Chinese market. And let's face it, one thing that we don't talk about all of these radios, the Asian market is actually very good when you talk about, shortwave radios in China, for example. And it's more difficult for a foreign company to get into China's market than from a local Chinese company. And Texan is right there smack in China. So they got the big Chinese market. And from what I hear, China and the Chinese market is still very good for anybody that creates a shortwave radio. So Texan is in the perfect market. It has the Asia market open. And of course, we have people like us here in North America and everywhere that are buying Texan receivers at the same time. To the channel, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Hey Nick, I'm in Dog from Romania. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Let me just check it out here. What else do we have here? Going down slowly, guys. I'm getting to the end of the chat at some point. Yes, HM01 Spuds TV is absolutely very, very special because of this digital thing at the same time. No, Nicola, HM01 is voice and digital. But there is one in that is Morse code, which is another one. It's I don't remember what's the number, what's the indication, but but there is a Morse code version of the number station from Cuba, absolutely. That, Nicola, you're right, but it's not HM01. It's another one. It's another one. So, SWL Turk, nice to have you here. Brandon Sexton from Ireland, nice to have you here. Nice to have you on board from Turkey, SWL Turk. Cool. And yeah, it's possible. I'm not set up in the same way, Valtz, at all. Last time you came in the chat, I was set up differently. I think last time you came, because you know what? I've been streaming with this Galaxy S7 phone for the past at least 10 or 12 shows. Because it works really well with this. I have to admit, I am totally surprised. But there's some things that I don't like. For example, I can't stream in 1080p. The app is maxed out at 720p, where this phone could actually do 4K actually. So I would like to be at 1080, and now I'm stuck at 720p with the Logitech also. So it's, I don't know. If I look here, just by curiosity, I just want to see something here. 104 watching right now. Pretty cool. That's nice. Nice to have all these people watching. Yeah, it is actually very blurry on the background, eh? I was just looking at it. And, yep. Yeah, the frequency is very blurry. I can see it. Let me just go here. I barely can read it. 17855 is all blurry, absolutely. But, I don't know. I'm trying to do something, and we're trying different things. We'll see what's going to happen, and try to have it better. So, anyways, what else do we have? What else do we have? The camera is actually farther away than it used to be. That also doesn't help for the frequency readout here. I need to set up somehow. I'll be doing a few shows. A few unexpected shows probably in the next couple of weeks. So you guys hang on to that, because I want to try and experiment with different ways of streaming and different cameras and different ways of actually setting it up, so that and see what's the best. Myron Marius, nice to have you here. Spuds TV says Egypt has 2 number stations. Yeah, we have to, I don't think I've ever heard them, but I do know that Egypt has some number stations. We need to check that out. I gotta, I wanted at some point to do some videos about specific number stations. Ronald Mullis, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see you on board. From Scotland, hey Ron. And Nicola is learning French. That's good. That's good. Vianney says, I would like to talk English like usual. Your English sounds good, really. I'm native French, and I would like to talk English like you. Native French here too. I mean, you know, we're from the same province. I also learned French as my native language. You know. Oh man, Alf in the 80s. I never looked at Alf. I can tell you that. Water stream not loading. You gotta just refresh. It should work. David Arden, nice to have you here. Just got back from day trip, 28 Celsius, little humidity, perfect day in Georgia. It sounds like here. It's pretty much what it is here actually right now. Richard Cook's got All India Radio on 7550. And by the way, guys, I want to stress that you gotta write to All India Radio. They are in the process of rethinking their shortwave service, and that means they are thinking of maybe shutting everything down because they are in the process of kind of thinking that shortwave isn't something that we should have again, that should be gone. We're in 2018 and we should be somewhere else. So take the time to write to All India Radio, guys. Take the time to let them know you're listening in. Send them reception reports. Let them know how important it is. The service is important to them. I've written to them this week, and you know, if you hear them, why not send a reception report at the same time? But we were talking last week at the CIDX barbecue after the show, and how I don't remember if it was during the show or after the show, but we were talking about how only maybe 1 or 2% of everybody listening actually ever wrote to a station. It's surprising, but we as hobbyists, writing to a station to get a QSL or something is kind of something we like to do. But for most people listening in, they don't realize there's no reason to write to a station. You listen to the program. Why should I write to the station to let them know I'm listening? They don't see the reason why. So it ends up that a lot of people listening never write. And it's always been known that a very small percentage of the people that actually listen write in to stations. That means for a certain amount of people that actually, write, there's 10 times more people that listen that you'll never know about because they're there and they are listening, and they'll never take the time to write to you. So write to All India Radio. It's very important. If you want to keep All India Radio alive, let them know you're listening. That's the way they're going to stay alive. If you tell them, hey, I listen to you regularly. All India Radio is one of those services I actually like. It's kind of interesting to listen to them. They have very unique Indian music on their shows too, So pretty crazy. Write to them. Yvonne says, I have the original Senjian 909, a Senjian 28 Wi-Fi radio. I've got a WFR 20 Senjian Wi-Fi radio that I never use. It's like there sitting doing nothing. I listened to it like for the first, couple of months. It was kind of cool in internet radio, and I got kind of out of it. And I should actually listen because the sound quality is amazing out of that thing, and I did pay $300 for it. It should be used to do something, but what else do we have? Let's check it out here. Always nice to have Senjian 405. Yeah, it's possible. That kind of vaguely tells me something. Bobby Burgess says got 14265 in the morning CD, but never knew it was Hawaii. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, routers and power supplies are crazy. So 14265. For anybody who wants to monitor Hawaii, let me just in case by miracle I hear something. Upper sideband. There's some activity on the 20 meter band though. Let's check out that signal here. There's some signal right here. Check it out what that is. 14240, there's something. What is that station? Well, what is that station? Oscar Lima 1. Special call, Oscar Lima 1. Celebrating 100 years of something about Czech radio. So special call sign. Special call sign. 14240. 14240 upper sideband is special event station celebrating 100 years of something in the Czech Republic, from what I hear. Max S. Strong says best feature on the Stanchion 909X is that it accepts external AM antennas through the jack. That's good. Hey Syrian Wallo, nice to have you on board from Syria. Pretty cool. Thanks for sharing, Eric, the number of stations from Cuba that do Morse code. Yep, we're above 100 viewers. That's pretty good, pretty good. I was a little surprised. I would have expected last week's special show, the CIDX, to actually run a little more people, and we didn't even reach. We reached like 90 at the max. What else? Enoch Nevdal, nice to have you here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Richard Cook says Cuban lady due on 11/635 in 15 minutes. Myron Marius, nice to have you here. Merci. Pretty cool. Take care, my friend MDK2. Always nice to have all of you here, by the way. And pretty cool to see everybody here. Al Willie, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Alan, VO1001 SWL in Newfoundland. Huge signal earlier today from Bangladesh Betar on 13580. Oh, I should have tried it. I haven't tried that Bangladesh Betar in a while. I really need to try it. Really need to try it. Who the hell is talking to me right now? So, it's pretty cool to see you. And, oh. Somebody's saying no show tonight. So, sorry, I'm just going to post that link to the guy.com /official channel /live. It should actually work. I'm just going to check it out here. Invalid response received. What's that? Yeah, it is. It's working. There we go. That should work. Yeah, it is working. And I'm watching my phone right live here with the chat room at the bottom. So anyways, hope he's joining in. Tim Lewis. Nice to have all of you here. Rock Ristorante says, Radio Thailand English S9 on 9920 in Stockholm. Wow. This is not the time of the year where I usually hear Thailand on those frequencies. And unfortunately, Radio Thailand's frequency for the evening in the summer is too high. 15590 due to the lack of solar activity. Not propagating well. Richard Cook says, winter propagation coming in slow. Been picking up 6400 more often now. Yeah. We are, we are at the end of the last week of August. I mean, in a month's time, we'll be in the equinox. So we are getting there, and the propagation is changing. Absolutely, absolutely. What else do we have? Spus TV has a Texan PL880. That's a good radio, great receiver. Nicola Hughes receiving 9920 loud and clear. Eric Cottrell says he uses his Logitech Squeezebox all the time. It's a question of using it. I need to take the time to use it more. Because honestly, there's a lot of stuff to listen to there. And, the sound quality of that Sangean Wi-Fi radio is so amazing. I should listen to streams of music regularly on that because it's great. Bobby Burgess says, I wonder if Texans sometimes have quality issues sometimes. Yes, they do. The Texan PL680 is an example. There are some quality control issues from time to time. Absolutely. Absolutely. What else do we have? Bobby says, got a 380, but accidentally bet in the dog's water bowl, and now it's got some serious... Well, you got some water in it. Water is the worst enemy, and that's for everything. Oh, really, Vault? Okay, cool. Thanks for the answer. 100 years since the creation of the country. Same year as Estonia, Finland, and Latvia. Oh, nice. Okay, thanks, Vault. I didn't totally get what he was talking about, so I was wondering what it was. So thanks for letting us know. Eric Cottrell says, it is also 50 years since the Soviet invasion following the Prague Spring. Oh, yeah. There was actually a... was it you, Eric? That shared that YouTube video. Somebody shared a YouTube video of Radio Prague with the announcement of what was happening, and it was like it's unreal, what was happening in the streets and the murders and how brutal actually the invasion was from Russia. It was crazy. It's just crazy. Those were crazy times, I got to tell you that. But David Arden also confirms, I had them on Tuesday, got a QSO with them, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the founding of Czechoslovakia. Okay, cool. So they're celebrating Czechoslovakia's foundation 100 years ago. Huh, interesting. Really interesting. What else do we have? Elton Byington says, when the Texan S8800 is supposed to be released here? Anybody know? Isn't it already released? I believe it is. I believe you can purchase one, if I'm not mistaken, on the... I think it's available on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's available on Amazon. Honestly. Max Headstrong just received his new Texan PL80 today. Took it to the park this morning to compare the Sony 7600. Just on AM. Sony did much nicer job. So, interesting. And, compare the shortwave, compare everything between both receivers. One of the things that I do know about many Texan receivers is that their AM receivers, the AM band, are not necessarily as good as other receivers. That is one of the comments I probably hear all the time. And try it on shortwave, because the Texan PL880 should be pretty good on shortwave. But I know that the Sony 7600 is known to be one of the best portables around also. So you gotta make sure that you compare those, because you're in the Sony 7600, you've got an amazing receiver there already. So that's something to check out for sure. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Okay. Bobby Burgess says my family once did have a Sony AM/FM cassette tape boombox. So what else do we have? Sony used to have, you know, Sony products were often very good, honestly, yeah. But also at the same time, Sony, you know, moved along, and there's a lot of stuff that aren't there anymore. And, you know, HM01 11635, let's check that out. Yep, oh, pretty good signal today. It's actually stuck on that tone. Wow, you guys see that signal on 11450 around there? Look at that. Look at that. So it's 11445 all the way up to 11465, around 20 kilohertz wide. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good signal. And signal's pretty good from Cuba, also HM01. But look at that kind of buzzing sound there, 20 kilohertz wide. David Arden says I still have a Sony ICF 2001. It is dilapidated, but still works like a champ. Yeah, that's one of the great receivers. Matt Mbali says 11635, 20 dB over 9. Pretty good. Yeah, pretty amazing. I'm actually surprised at how strong it is today. I don't get it that strong usually. Sony, I don't know what they make actually. I know the PlayStation, of course, but are they still in the TV? They're in the TV business. They do their TV. They still do some TVs and stuff, but Sony today is not what Sony once was. It's not the same thing. Ivan says I had a Sony 2010, which is a 2001D, and eventually sold it. No one has ever achieved synchronous detection like that, Sony. It's I hear from the 7600 it's pretty good too. So I don't know if it's the same, but you know, that was something new when the Sony 2010 or Sony 2001D sync detection. That was the new thing. It was the first time that a radio ever had sync detection, honestly. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And it was crazy. The only complaint I heard about the Sony 2010 / the Sony 2001 was that it was very easy to blow out the amplifying transistor. The RF amp input transistor would easily get zapped and render the radio deaf. And I think they fixed it with later models, but I remember the first units, people were complaining about the that happening. If they wouldn't be careful with static electricity, they would zap the RF amp, and the radio would be deaf until it'd be fixed. And it was one of the transistors that was kind of too easy to blow up, basically. So and I think they made a change in the later production to make it more difficult. But I do remember there was a rant about that, and I do remember quite a few people being a little mad that their radio was deaf suddenly. So, you know, I believe smart the vaults. I believe the Sony TVs are have their kind of their own weird operating system in the TVs, which is kind of really weird. So you know, yeah. Sony problem had a filter that was a little too wide for the crowded shortwave bands. That was a big problem, especially back in the time. I mean, how many radios from the 80s suffered from that? The filter, the bandwidth was too wide. And, you know, in the 80s, it's not like today. Today, it's not, it can still be, but it's not such a problem of, you know, I'm listening to a signal and I had a lot of problems because that signal of 5 kilohertz up or down is interfering. And in the 80s, that was a problem. Every station was packed 5 kilohertz, one next to the other. And you had to have a really nice bandwidth to actually, a nice bandwidth filter to actually listen in well to these stations. It was difficult. I remember my realistic DX100 was horrible on that. And it was impossible sometimes to listen in to some stations because you'd hear the other stations next to it just like, you know, interfering all the time. Problems that we don't have that much today because there are less stations. But you know what? It depends. People in Asia, for example, tune any receivers in Asia, like on SDR.HU or on the global tuners, you will see that in Asia, it is still as crowded as the bands were here in North America in the 80s. Stations all packed, jam-packed, one next to the other. So there still is need for a good selectivity filter. But man, RCA. You know what, Bobby Burgess, it's funny because all the RCA TVs that we ever owned when I was young were all crap and all burned out or broke down really, really soon. And I never had a good feel of any RCA products. Never. Yeah, we all did that. Ivan says for DX, I had sometimes to switch to single sideband to force a narrow filter. That we would do that in the 80s a lot. I mean, when we would want to listen to a station, we'd go, because a lot of radios don't give you, you know, today the portable radios, a lot of them have a narrow switch. So it's like, you know, wide or narrow, and even in AM you can actually force the narrow switch. In the 80s, radios were narrow only when they were in single sideband, for most of them, and they were on the wider when you were on AM. And the only way to listen in was to go into single sideband and try to, you know, zero beat so that you can listen in to whatever they were saying, because it was the only way. It's the only way to have a narrow filter on. I remember when I got the Kenwood R-5000, one of the things that I found really, you know, there are things sometimes that you look at and you're like, come on, okay, you just want to make money or what? The Kenwood R-5000, I love that radio, but the fact that they forced you to buy a $150 filter, a $150 filter to simply make sure that everything's all right. And the big problem with that is that, you know, the radio was already costing you, here in Canada, it was like $1,400. And I'm sorry, but you should have given us, for $1,400, you shouldn't have given us the right filters, okay? That, I found it extremely cheap from Kenwood to sell you a radio that cannot perform as well as it should because, oh, by the way, you need that filter in it. That I always found it really, really cheap and really a bad decision out of Kenwood. I mean, come on. $1,400 for a radio and the filters aren't right? Please. I understand totally that you might want to have specific filters. You know, they sold like a narrower SSB filter, and they sold the CW filter, stuff like that. But man, please don't screw us on what is one of the major filters, the AM filter for international broadcast bands. Come on, that was horrible. Matt Mbali says Drake R8 had the same problem. Preamp transistor could blow out by switching it on. Had to modify it. Relay coil was blowing out the driver. There were a few radios that had that actually. David Arden says my major complaint is that you can't tune up and down the bands. You can only slew. Okay. Richard Cook's got HM01 really good. RTE Gideon, nice to have you here. I'm studying for my technician AM operator license. It's like going back to school. Cool. That is cool. That is really cool. And I'm pretty sure you're going to pass and you're going to have all of that. It's going to be really, really nice. Good luck for sure. Thanks, Far says, yeah, some ICF 2001 2010. It's the field effects transistor 303 problem. A lot of people complain on that. You have to be careful. You have to be really careful. Spuds TV, know any military station like UVB 76, the goose, the pip, or the squeaky wheel, and the D marker? I sometimes hear UVB 76 here, and mostly in the, I would say UVB 76 best period of time would. It's soon to start. I would say in September, October, maybe a bit in November. I might be hearing it again. I've never heard squeaky wheel at the pip. I've heard many channel CW channel markers from the Russian military, but when I use the European software-defined receivers online, that's where I hear them. I don't hear them here. My noise level is too high to get these very weak signals. So, what else do we have? What else do we have? You know, we probably had you know, a 2 or 3 RCAs, and we had the junk. Because I mean, everything that we had from RCA broke down so fast. I never even wanted to purchase anything from them ever again. So you know, the last thing that we had from RCA was a 20-inch TV from the late 80s. It lasted 3 years and it broke down, which for me is not a good time. You know, 3 years for a TV is not very good, honestly. Wow, HM01 20 dB now in the UK. Propagation might be pretty good tonight, actually. Pretty surprising. Very, very surprising things. How much money did you pay then for a quality speaker? Wow, in the 80s. I remember that that speaker that I use with my ICOM, which is a realistic speaker. I don't know if you guys can see it in here. Yeah, you guys see it? That thing here. I paid, I bought this in let me just think about it. I bought this in 1987, 88. It's an old speaker that still works very well. And I remember this, which is made in, it's in a wooden box, a wooden cabinet. I mean, it's really, you know, it's one of those, so it's well made and it has a good sound, and it's always been with me with my shortwave radios because it is so much better than whatever speaker, even the ICOM speaker, you know, which is up on the top, is no good. It's like on the Kenwood R-5000, didn't sound good. This sounds much better, and it also throws it at you. I'm trying to remember. I think on sale, if I'm not mistaken, something like on sale, I purchased it for $35 in 1986-7. So remember, it was on sale. It was like maybe $30 off. So that means this thing cost 60 or 70 Canadian dollars back in '86. And so 35 bucks in '86 is probably like $100 now, at least. At least. But things were more expensive. Things like that were more expensive back in the day, honestly. Syrian Willow, for fun, tell us what is the most ridiculous belief about radio you believe in the beginning of the hobby of radio listening. Okay, I was thinking about the radio station strengthen its broadcast when I receive it and they know my place. Okay. Well, the most ridiculous thing that I would have... Well, let me think about that. Let me think about that. I'm not sure. I don't know what to say on that question. Okay, when I was starting out in 82, 83, what would have been the most ridiculous thing? Well, one that I like to talk about radio is the fact that I didn't know anything about solar activity. And I remember putting up 100 feet of wire over the roof of the house, listening to KBS, well, what was Radio Korea back then, KBS World Radio, and hearing it really well one morning. And I was really happy because I was hearing South Korea and it was reception report. The next morning I woke up and all excited, I'm going to listen to Korea again this morning, and it's not there, there's nothing. And I remember thinking, what's wrong? All the signals are weak. My antenna must be broken. And I remember pulling out 100 feet of wire and wondering what is happening with my wire. And going to the store, buying another 100 feet. Shows you how innocent and I didn't know anything about radio. And putting the 100 feet back up. But by the time I went to the store and all of that, the 100 feet was back up. It was later, so I couldn't test it out. So I thought, well, tomorrow morning I'll test it out with Voice of Korea. And I remember the next morning, Voice of Korea is there, but it's weak. So I'm thinking, what's wrong? Did I take the same type of wire? Is it because it's not copper? I just didn't know anything about propagation. And I was ignorant of all of that. And I was like, okay, my antenna's broken. You know, I mean, come on. You just put up 100 feet of wire. How can it be broken? I just didn't know. I was innocent on that. And that's probably one of the stories I like to tell the most, because it's really reflects of, you know, the shortwave listening hobby is like a lot of hobbies. You know, it's a complex thing. There's a lot of things to know. So that's one. I don't know about for the rest. I would one of the things that I would think a lot about when I was younger was writing to all the Eastern Bloc countries and thinking, wow, maybe in Ottawa there's some file with my name on it, you know, and they're kind of checking out because I'm writing to all of these Eastern Bloc countries, and I'm writing to Russia and all of that. One of my friends, that's not me, but I grew up listening to shortwave with a friend of mine. We had the same radio, the DX100, and actually he wanted to have the radio because he came home to my place when I was maybe 14, and he said, wow, this is so cool, you're listening to the world. And so what happened, he of course asked his dad for a radio, the same radio, and we would be listening to shortwave stations. And what we would actually do is listen. We were on the phone, each listening to a shortwave station, each on our side, the same station. We would do a reception report, and we would help out. So sometimes I wouldn't understand something. He would say, oh, no, they just said this. And same for me. And we would go out and send the letters at the post office the same day. And I remember, first of all, I remember me being annoyed at the fact that there were some stations that he received a reply and I had never received a reply, and we had done the reception report the same day. But the funniest is that guy, and we're still best friends today. He had, and he still does have, a little temper. You know, when something doesn't go right and like he wants, you kind of know about it. You know, he's very direct on that, and it's okay. I mean, it's been like that all the years. You know, every time we did something with other friends, I would sometimes tell my friends, you know, if you say something or do something, and he just says, this is not the case, and blah, blah, blah. He's not mad at you. It's his way of, explaining his point of view. And sometimes some of my friends would say, well, you know, I think he's mad. No, he's not mad. You just don't know him. He's like that. It's just, I remember one of my friends once, and that was something. We were like 6 or 7 guys. And one of my best friends accidentally knocked down his beer, and the beer spilled on him. And he got up and said, man, you got to be careful, and so on. And so he goes to the washroom, and the guy says, man, I feel bad. I think he doesn't like me anymore. It was like, no, you don't know the guy. The guy is mad at the moment of what's just happened. He's going to sit back down and talk to you like it never happened in 10 minutes. Don't take it personally. He just does that. And I remember one day we had written twice to Radio Sweden, and at the same time sent the letter together at the same moment, and twice I got a reply on a QSL card. Him, he got nothing. And we had the same address. I mean, we would compare and everything. Everything was okay. And one day, he told me, you know what I did? What? I wrote a letter to Radio Sweden to say, go to hell, you don't want to answer my letters. I said, why the hell you do that? Write another station or just send another reception report. But I told him, you really did that? I said, yeah, I wrote them a letter, tell them, go to hell. I'm never receiving anything from you. You guys don't want to know nothing about me. It's like, man, don't take it personal. There's nothing personal about Radio Sweden not answering your letters. So, you know, these are some of the really funny little stories of when I was a teen with that guy. His name is Jean-Pierre, and we're still good friends today. I mean, it's life is making it difficult for us to see each other, but I mean, we're still the best friends of the world. We meet each other, and we haven't seen each other. You know, last time I saw him was last winter. We went to see the Canadian, the Montreal Canadiens hockey game together. And, I mean, we hadn't seen each other in years. And, I mean, we got back together. We went to the restaurant. We got to the hockey game. We went out for a beer. It was like we've never left each other. It was like I just got back with somebody that, I don't know, what happened all these years? And why haven't we, we actually sat down and it's like, why the hell didn't we see each other in the past 5 years? I don't understand that. We need to see each other more often than that. So anyways, these little funny stories of when I was young. I remember being annoyed at the fact that he would actually... I remember being annoyed at the fact... I'm the kind of guy that... I'm not a jealous guy. I'm not you got something more than me. It's fine. You got something better than me. And, you got a 70-inch TV. Well, cool. I got a 50-inch. It's okay. But back in my teenage years, was a little more like annoyed at, kind of like I remember he's got a one day. We all have our little stories of being annoyed, him and me. One where I was annoyed, we got a Voice of Guyana from the French Guyana in South America. We did a reception report together. They were on the 90-meter band. I got nothing. He got a QSL card. And I was like, okay. And I've never received from French Guyana. And I was like, I was mad. Same other story. We made the same reception report to Voice of Nigeria. And I still remember when I got the envelope. It was the snowstorm day of February. It was there. We had no school that day. School was closed, and I looked in the mailbox, and I had a big envelope, big brown envelope, said "Voice of Nigeria." I was like, "Wow!" And I called him up, and said, "Hey, did you receive anything?" He says, "No." Well, I got a big envelope with Voice of Nigeria and a Nigerian magazine and a QSL card. And he said, "Well, I'm gonna." Well, I told him, "Well, maybe you're gonna get it today. I'm gonna get it another day," but he never did receive. And that we both had our frustrations of, you got that and I don't have, and you got that and I don't have. Last winter, actually, when we were together at the hockey game, I told him, if you ever at some point don't know what to do with your QSL collection, please give me your QSL collection. I'll add it to my collection. And I said, because first of all, I don't want you to throw away these QSL cards. I mean, come on. These are precious. And I told him, I said, we did so many reception report together that they're almost like if I did a reception reports, also. And I mean, we heard the same stations and wrote to the same, That was kind of cool because, as I always say, shortwave is a solitary hobby. And I was lucky enough that one of my best friends when I was young actually was listening to shortwave also. So we were two guys listening to shortwave. But, my friends were geeks. Honestly, my friends were geeks. I had two really good friends when I was 14, 15. I mean, in school, I knew other guys and other, and girls, and we would talk. But I had two guys that were like really close friends, and we would do tons of things together. One was him, and we were at the same age, so we were in some classes we were in the same class, and we would have shortwave as something that would be together. But I had another friend that he was 2 years younger. And I mean, when you're 14, 2 years younger is a lot, because at 14 and at 12, you're not in the same state of mind. But what would actually keep us together is the fact that he loved electronics. He had electronic parts everywhere, and he liked to build circuits and stuff, which also I enjoyed. And we both had a Commodore computer, which also was something that was kind of cool. And back then, I was the go-to guy for the Commodore stuff because I had all the games. And people would actually come to me and say, "Oh, apparently you're the guy that had all the games." And of course, it was not very honest, but yeah, okay, you want a copy? $5. So I wouldn't make pocket money by telling everybody, "Well, if you want a game, I can get it for you for $5, And I would do that back in, I was 15 maybe. And so he was he didn't do shortwave, but he was the electronics and the computer guy. And on the other side was Jean-Pierre, my friend, where we were same age, doing shortwave stuff, doing sports. We would go to the park, play tennis, frisbee, stuff like that. Anyways, amazing memories of my teenage years, honestly. Pretty amazing. Bicycle wheels make good antennas. I don't know. What I'll do is I'll take the front wheel off of my bike and I'll try it. Bicycle wheel antenna. Barbecue grill as an antenna. Well, it's a big metal thing, I can tell you that. Okay, here's the thing. Hey, John McClure, nice to have you on board. Max S. Strong. Okay, here's the thing. My Kenwood R-5000, I didn't pay $1,400 for it. But it was the price brand new, $19.90. Okay? So I got my first full-time job in 1989. And I didn't spend a lot of money. I didn't go to restaurants and do much, honestly. And what happened is I wanted to have a Kenwood R-5000. I would see it everywhere. And there was a store downtown Montreal which was called Radio Lorenz. And they would have it on display. And, I mean, I was in love with the Kenwood R-5000. So the actual price was $1,350. Plus, if you wanted to have a lot of fun, you had to buy that $150 filter. So that means it would cost, in reality, $1,500 plus taxes in Canada. That was like a $1,700 radio. My brother that would look at the ads all the time and knew that Kenwood R-5000 was a receiver, one day called me up and said, "Hey, did you see the classified ads?" I said, "No." "There's a guy selling a Kenwood R-5000 and he says it's only 6 months old and that he has a receipt and everything." And he said, "I don't know what, but he has other things that I don't understand what it is. And he's selling it for $900. So I looked at that, and I look at my bank account, and I had like maybe, I don't know, I think I had $1,000 in the bank account, you know. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna empty my bank account for a Kenwood R-5000. I'm gonna give the guy $900. So I look at the ad, and the ad says Kenwood R-5000 plus AM filter. New in the box, never installed. $900 flat. The guy was not far from where I lived. It was like, you know, by car, I think it was like 10 minutes. So I told my brother, "Hey, you want to come with me? We're going to go together and see the radio." So I called up the guy and say, "Hey, tonight I would go see the Kenwood R-5000. So I went there. The radio was perfect. Perfect condition. He had a receipt. It was 6 months old, really. The guy bought it. He thought it would be amazing. He plugged it in once and didn't like what was happening. And he thought it was different. He didn't think it was that. So he just said, "What the hell? I don't want to have that. What the hell's that?" You know? So I knew that $900 for a radio that pretty much not being used with the filter already wasn't that bad, because it was already, you know, $600 less than I would have paid new. And 6 months, honestly, 6 months on the radio that the guy didn't use, it's pretty much new. And of course, you know, when you go to buy things like that in a classified ad, you always kind of bluff. So I got the guy and said, "Look, I got only $800 on me." And he said, "Okay, $800. So I got it for $800 with the filter. That was still in the box. The guy didn't know what to do with it. He didn't, you know, he was not an electronics guy of any kind. So he had it. He didn't know what to do with it. I got home, plugged that in, put the filter in, and boy. So, you know, I got it pretty much a deal. Because the guy with the filter, he lost, in reality, in the 6 months, he lost $700 or $800. But probably, you know, he needed money or something and said, "I'm going to sell it," you know. Hey, Richard, no, I've not heard North Korea recently at all. I need to try the frequencies. I haven't tried them really, honestly. Yvonne says, "You got to use Kenwood R-2000 for 200. Hey, Bill, K3WDR, nice to have you here. Do I have an authentic speaker? Well, it's, what do you mean by authentic speaker? David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Always nice to see you here. Pretty cool. Oh, Yvonne, absolutely. You must have been happy. Sony 2010 was one of those really amazing receivers. Myron Marius says, "Granny Gadboard 400. I had one of those for a little while." So, hey, Dave Freeman. Do you have an update for your setup at Global Tuners? Well, actually, I'm not. My receiver's not there, so all I have is an account, and that's it. Dave. Just telling, hey there, says someone without TV that lives in the northernmost part of England where there is no local radio transmitter and where receiving DAB is impossible. I prefer a show that covers more than shortwave. Well, shortwave is pretty much what you'll get if you have no TV and no DAB possible. Eric says, I have several of those small cube speakers from RadioShack. The guy was, you know what, Eric, it was so funny because I remember I got there, and of course, you know, 99% of people that would go buy a speaker would buy a pair. You want to have a pair of speakers because you want it for your stereo, you know, radio or boombox. And I got there and said, well, I want one. And he said, one? Yeah, I want one. Actually, I had only the money for one anyways. And he was looking at me like really strange. I said, okay, you want one. And I understood later that, okay, I kind of screwed them a little bit because they knew they were selling them by pair, so they would buy them by pair all the time. And now they had just one because I had bought one. So it's like, oh, okay. Hey, Robert Prosper, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Try to refresh or use a different browser. Nobody's really complaining of any problems from what I see here. David says, I got a couple of Minimus 2.5 speakers like the one Jill has on eBay. One of them is in service on my own IC8500. Works really well and sounds great on all types of signals. Oh, this is an amazing little speaker. I got to tell you one thing. It looks like, you know, right now, especially with the age, it looks like crap. But I can tell you, this is a damn good speaker. The fidelity and the audio response is amazing. Amazing. Honestly. What is the radio with the whip on the top of the shelf? That's the ICOM ICR20. That unfortunately I should have brought in to have Eric check out when he showed his R30. Bill, K3WDR, main potato net, beginning at 1830 local, 2230 UT on 3958. I'll have to check that out to see if we're still on the air. And by the way, if you guys want to help me out, I don't know if you guys can see it, but a little PayPal donation. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy what this is all about, please feel free to help out. PayPal.me/shortwave. It's a little washed out from what I see here. Or at patreon.com/radio and computers. And of course, we talk about radio and have a lot of fun. Tomorrow, guys, there's a VHF UHF show. We are going to look at amateur radio satellites, some of the new ones that are on, with the modes they use and the things. I've seen a lot of stuff. Some people decoding even slow scan TV off of one of the satellites. We're going to check the modes and we're going to check it out. So it's all going to happen on this radio that, thanks to a fan of mine, I've got computer control back with a USB to serial adapter that works fantastically well. So Neil Thumes, thank you so much for sending me that serial to USB adapter. It's great, great, and it works amazingly well. Finally, I got computer control back of my ICOM when I use the satellite tracking software. So, and thanks everybody for donations, for those that have donated, and kind of reaching out here to anybody that has never donated before. Why not think about it if you love the live shows? So, what else do we have? Yvonne says, Radio Sweden used to have a CompuServe email address, and I remember wondering how I go into that. Wow. Yeah, most people don't... Les Canadiens should be pronounced in French. You don't translate that. Well, it's the Montreal Canadiens in English, Fastlow. Nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave, Radio DX. Nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. And just finished mowing the grass in the backyard. And now thirsty for ice cold beer. Cool. Doing well here. Pretty well, pretty well. Station on 15140. Strong, possibly Oman. Let's just check it out if I hear Oman. Anything here? Nothing much. I'll check a little something that I'm curious about. 9996. Do I hear? Don't hear Russian RWM time signal, unfortunately. There is kind of a weak signal for WWV. Huh. I'm going to tune the bands a little bit. Check what's on. So yeah, they're Minimus 2.5, right? That's the 2.5. Oh, you got the image. Let me check it out here. Actually, it should stay in the back, right? This is, yeah, Minimus 2.5. It says here, Minimus 2.5. RadioShack catalog 40-1999A. 8 ohms, 10 watts maximum. Custom manufactured in Malaysia for Intertan, distributed by RadioShack, Barrie, Ontario, Canada. Huh. So, it's been with me for, what, 30 years now? Been with me for 30 years. And it works great. Works great. Amazing little speaker. Max says strong, drinking some espresso. Cool. You know, whatever you want. You know, coffee, tea, whatever. Red Wings to El Rouge. Yeah, why not? The Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Fédérable. Richard Cook's got a very strong carry on 15120, no audio. Robert Prosper, it must be your internet connection, because here it's working, most people, for everybody it's working great. YouTube has an amazing amount, by the way, an amazing amount of old-time TV, radio, videos that are just crazy. I stumbled the other day upon a opening and a closing time for American TV stations from the 60s. Somebody had like filmed that and digitized it and put it on YouTube. It's just crazy. Pretty much everybody has a good stream from what I say, so shouldn't have any problems usually, honestly. Nobody's complaining of anything, so maybe something wrong with your part of the woods, unfortunately. Hey, Bill Ross, nice to have you here. Robert Prosper says, AM DXing was lots of fun back in the day when essentially every radio station was locally owned. It was different, you know? It was so different when the times when stations were privately owned. There was not a lot of, you know, there were like the major networks, but there was a lot of local stuff and local programming and announcers, and it was, you know, local DJs. Radio was very different back then. It was so personalized. And we would listen to a station because it had this unique, you know, flavor to it, honestly. It was just amazing. Why the hell is my phone doing all sorts of noise right now? So, you know, it's just crazy. And, oh, okay. That's my landlord. My landlord that, wow, a lot of people are actually asking all sorts of things right now. Bill, K3WDR, neighbor gave me 405 feet of barbed wire. Can I use that? Absolutely. Barbed wire works as an antenna. Just make sure that you don't put it where somewhere is going to just like, you know, scrape his head off. But barbed wire will work as an antenna, absolutely. Anything that's metal is going to work. As long as it's metal. Charles Williams. Sorry, I just oops, sorry. So anyways, God. Okay, so Charles Williams says, I used the Ethernet AM radio and it works surprisingly well. Still have it, but the tuner's frozen. Wow. Have you opened it up just to see if you can kind of do something? What do you mean by frozen? Is it just that you turn around and nothing happens? It could be if there's like this, you know, a lot of the radios from back then have this like little cord that goes through all the gears for the little needle. And that thing with time just like, and you need a full, I mean, a full plan to understand how many turns and I just can't believe how complex some of the tuning gears and the tuning stuff are just to have a little needle moving around on the display. Bill Ross, if I were to spend around $300 on a new radio, would you choose a Texan S2000, Sangean ATS 909X with the Radiolabs mods? I already have a Texan PL680. If you have $300 on a new radio, I wouldn't buy any of those, honestly. I would look for a used tabletop that you'd have a lot of fun with. Because with $300 you can have a darn beautiful, used but very nice tabletop receiver. You know, you could have maybe a used ICOM or a used Kenwood. That would be a million times better than any of those radios, honestly. You know, you got a Texan PL660, and moving to a Texan S2000 or a Sangean ATS 909X is honestly not really an upgrade. It's if you're there and you want to have something, because I mean the Texan S2000 does look cool. It's a nice big radio. I would not pay $300 for an ATS 909X ever. I mean, I got the original ATS 909, which is the RadioShack DX398, which I paid brand new back then. I believe something like 100 and some Canadian dollars. Honestly, I would look at used ICOM, you know, in good condition though. You make sure it's in good condition. Make sure that you can tune around with it. You can test it out. Bring someone with you if you're not sure. But a used tabletop would, at $300 I would look for a tabletop radio. A used one, because at $300 you won't have a lot of tabletop stuff, but you can have a really darn good used tabletop for $300, honestly. Well, Spuds TV, if HM01 is still playing, it's because there are still some spies in the field somewhere that use it to have secret transmissions, honestly. You know? Bill K3 WDR says, I would get a Kenwood 440 SAT for $450. Yeah. Yeah, the Sangean has RDS, absolutely. It is nice. It is nice. But I gotta say, I've got the Branding Traveler 3 that I purchased. I got as a gift from a user about, what, 4 or 5 months ago. And one thing I gotta say is the RDS function on that is amazing. Max S. Trunk says, Joe, the Kenwood TS450 SAT transceiver is the same. Really need that 1.8 filter for SSB work. They are pricey. Absolutely. Well, the TS450 and the Kenwood R-5000 share kind of the same electronics. The only thing I believe the TS450 is a triple conversion, where the Kenwood R-5000 was a dual conversion. Bill K3DR says, realistic versus authentic. Well, you know, they're pretty much authentic. Pretty much what I would say, you know. I mean, they're okay. I mean, You know, speakers back then were not bad at all, but if you put a little bit of price on it. And it's like radios, you got to be careful. You know, some speakers are expensive, but are not good at all. Yes, the Texan S2000 is the same as the Grundig Satellite 750. Absolutely. Actually, I've not gone to Global Tuners for a while. I need to go back. I haven't gone to Global Tuners at least for 6 months, at least minimum. I need to check that out. I really need to check that out. Hey, John Young. Nice to have you on board. It's in wildfire smoke here in Montana. I think it helps reception. Well, you know what? Because there's a lot of forest fires in the west part of Canada. And I went to the grocery to get my beer today. And I mean, it's a beautiful day, but the sun is in some kind of, I would say some kind of, you know, cloud of something. It's like the sky is like, it's not blue, it's kind of bluish white. And I was thinking if it could be the forest fires. And when I actually came back home, somebody on my Facebook page posted a map of North America taken from a weather satellite showing all the smoke. And actually, yeah, over Montreal here, at ground level, we don't have that. But on the upper layers of the atmosphere, yeah, there's smoke coming from the west part of Canada because of the jet stream. That whitish sky is actually smoke from the forest fires in the west. So it's like, huh, okay. So basically it's forest fire smoke. Amazing. This year is amazing. I mean, it's covering a big chunk of North America. Pretty amazing. Yeah, the 909X is a very unique radio, I gotta say. Absolutely. Richard Cook says 11760, strong for Spanish. That's Radio Havana, Cuba. It's not very strong here, but that's Radio Havana, Cuba, Richard. Hey, Michael Plays, nice to have you on board from Germany. Just finishing up 80 servers and just arrived home. Saw you now streaming and just want to say hello. Nice to have you on board, my friend from Germany. And take it easy. Vienna Arsenal, yep. VHF, UHF tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. And we are going to talk about amateur satellites. Tune into some amateur satellites. Computer controlled. And all I need is to just make sure that my antenna works well. Because I don't think I've got the best performance right now. But all of that tomorrow. All of that tomorrow. Yvonne says the best portable for me is the Ethon satellites. Shortwave, airband, AM, FM, and RDS. All in a small light package. I got one from Canada for $65. Richard Cook says Radio Cairo 9800, bad audio, but very strong signal. That's Radio Cairo. Strong signal, but I gotta say, David in Barcelona says single driver speakers like the Minimus 2.5 are perfect for radio comms types audio. Speakers with multiple drivers are better for music and don't like radio audio as much. Yeah, absolutely. I wished I didn't have the money. Let's face it. When I went to buy that, I had the cash for one speaker. But honestly, today, I would actually like to have more than one. I would have enjoyed having another one spare in case this one breaks down. Or, I've tried many computer speakers. So, right now here I've got a Logitech. So you see here, I've got Logitech with the subwoofer. The subwoofer is here. I don't plug it in. And the reason I don't plug it in is that there's so much bass in it that it's just, it just annoys me more than anything else. I actually plugged it in for listening, and I had to change the audio filter there to remove some of the bass, the lower frequencies. So finally, you know what? I'm using just the two little speakers up there because it annoys me more than anything that that sub is actually there. But I've used a couple of computer speakers for shortwave, plugging them in into the radio and everything. I don't know. There's something not right. There's something that's not like that. That's making it really, really much more interesting. Bruce Onnenbach. Well, so what's the web? DRS, SDR? What's the question? Richard Cook's got CHU, weak on 7850. David says stream is perfect for him. Vianney says 11610 gives me 20 dB strong signal. And this is right here. That's from Madagascar. That's Madagascar, the light of life. So that's from Madagascar, the light of life, and it comes in through Madagascar relay, which is, Vianney, it's like 14,000 kilometers from here. Madagascar is one hell of a long place to be, a far place from us, and it's just crazy that we're receiving a signal on 11610 from far away. So Madagascar World Voice. It's in Mandarin. Bullfrog 89 says, one of the local radio broadcast companies just fired 3 of the DJs saying they aren't necessary. They've all someone at another station that airs an easy record, the weather reports. You know what? Everybody's just like using computer controlled stuff and electronic stuff, and it's like, let's just damn put that thing, that people want to listen to that. Nope, people actually enjoyed the days when there were real DJs and that it was interesting. I don't listen to FM radio here. It's annoying. For me, FM radio is boring in Montreal, The only time it's great is when there's the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 on Sunday mornings. Now that's kind of a plug. Max says, strong. I have over 100 feet of long wire antenna draped around my attic rafters and walls. Noisy, but works. It's all a question of just having the noise signal ratio correct, honestly. Richard says, interesting, 7550 was in DRM mode yesterday, now it's in analog mode. Yeah, for a long time, 7550 used to be in DRM, but I've also heard 7550 in analog regularly. I wonder if 9445 is coming in. Nothing there. 7550, check it out. Yep, All India Radio. It's not super strong, but it just said All India Radio. 7550. 7550 is All India Radio right now. And don't forget, guys, write to All India Radio. Let them know you're listening, because they're thinking of removing the shortwave service. And All India Radio is actually a very big shortwave service, honestly. So, let them know you're in and you're listening. Bill K3DR, WDR. I heard barbed wire catches more signals. Nah, it's just wire. It's like when people tell me, you know, the size of the wire, the bigger it is, the more signals you get. No, you don't. Same thing. The wire size is not really, you know, but no, barbed wire does not get more signals. It will get a lot more people that try to get into your yard, but not radio signals. Eric Cottrell says, the speakers I have are minimus 0.3 speakers. Got about 4 of them and use them for VHF, UHF radios. Cool. When did you buy them? No, ATS 909 is not worth at all $300, honestly. No. No. That's for sure. So my nephew saying, hey, you want to do some retro gaming after? He just texts me, hey man, how about some retro gaming with vodka and orange juice? Man. I got distracted here. Yeah, I want to spend $300 for that. Absolutely. I would really get a tabletop for $300. I'd get a tabletop for $300. Get yourself a tabletop. Get a Kenwood, get a Yaesu, whatever, in good condition, but get that. Get something like that for $300. Oh, it's possible, Yvonne, that the 450 and the R-5000. But I know that the basic design came from the same place. I remember reading about that. But there are some differences, absolutely. Erica Charles says, I used the Eton G3 when traveling. Got it from a friend in exchange for a clutch cargo DVDs. That's not bad. It's a good exchange. Spuds TV 10 with 715 HM01. So let's check 10715. That's there. It also has a really good signal. Take care, Yvonne. So 10715, sorry for the Cuban number. Erica Trell says, really like the ICOM R8600, excellent for HF for a wideband receiver. You know, it's a little bit like the 8500. One of the things that I of course, there's a compromise sometimes to have. And I don't know exactly about the R8600 because I've read that it's amazing. And I know that you like it a lot. And you see here, Max Estron says, I think the ICOM R86 is maybe the best AM DX radio I've ever used. So, you know what? When I got the 8500, bought it brand new, I knew I was not getting the performance of a Kenwood R-5000 on shortwave, but I knew that I was getting a very darn good performance still. And, you know, I noticed that it had a little bit of flaws on shortwave, but it was still a very good radio. And one of the things that's, you know, you've got to think about is when you have a wideband radio, a wideband receiver, you always got to be careful with that because not all wideband receivers are good with all the bands at the same time. Some are better at some parts of the bands than others, you know. Vienna also says, early this morning around 4 a.m. it was smelled forest fires, but nothing in the Gaspésia region. But you know what, Vienna? On the map that I saw today, and the eastern part of Quebec, you guys have more smoke from the west part of Canada than here down in Montreal. It was very, very visible. You could see all the smoke coming through. And it was thicker in the east part of Quebec than it was here down in the south part of Quebec. Here we've got kind of a white cover, and it's the smoke that's doing it. You guys on the east part of Quebec have more of it. So it's possible that it smelled like forest fires. It's incredible. I mean, it's far away. It's thousands of miles away, and we got an effect from it. I mean, these are amazing. I've never witnessed any forest fires that were such widespread, and the smoke and everything. Richard Cook says BPM coming in on 5,000. Eric Control says I recently got an open box ICOM IC7610 to replace the TS850 SAT. Cool. Cool. Pretty cool. ICOM just released the IQ driver for the 7610. Can use the IQ output with HDSDR as a third receiver. Oh, that's nice. Hey, Luis Adevalo. Nice to have you here. Are there new shortwave stations? Just wondering. Nah, we're pretty much in the same state of shortwave. There's a few new little low-powered stations in Australia, but for now it's kind of pretty much being pretty much the same stations, honestly. Bill Ross, I still have a very old realistic SP150 communication speaker that came with the DX150A radio in 1972. It works great, although the radio is defunct. Cool. Cool. Eric Cottrell says his ICR8600 is up there with the Watkins Johnson WJ8711A. Wow. I need to have one. Myron Marius, 11610, good reception. Sorry. Sorry, I'm still kind of at the end of a little kind of a cold. Vianney says it's Trudeau, and that's why the radio reception is so interesting. We never know where and who would be on the microphone. Absolutely. It's the fun of it. It's the part of what is cool. So cool, RT Gideon. So tomorrow, VHF, UHF show. We're listening to satellites. Hope you're going to be here. Jim S., nice to have you here. No, I haven't tried the HDSDR update. Maybe I should try it out. I'll check it out. I haven't looked at the HDSDR page for a long time, so still been using the same version. I'm at version 2.76. What's the new version, Jim? I'm at 2.76 on this one. Dave Todd says run a Yaesu SP767 external speaker. It has switchable high and low filters and 2 selectable inputs. Not a DSP, but close. Cool. Cool. Myron Marius says increased Russian number activity in English on 4 megahertz lately. Unusual. Huh. Okay, so Eric bought the RadioShack speakers about 20 plus years ago. I like mine. Mine is about 30 years. Nikki Colbridge, nice to have you on board. I think I picked up a Chinese station on 6020. I don't know what's on 6020. By the way, you should hear, let's check it out here, 9830. Voice of Turkey. Wow, it's the first time I hear that. 9830. Voice of Turkey is all distorted. Something's happening with your transmitter. It sounds like Radio Cairo. Voice of Turkey sounds like Radio Cairo tonight. It's all distorted. So sad. So sad to see that. Honestly. It's really, really... and sorry. My nephew saying retro gaming and the first rings on me, I'm drinking the vodka. He really wants to have retro gaming tonight. Oh, God. So anyways, Voice of Turkey has very distorted audio. Let's try 9800 is what, Cairo? Actually, you know what? When Radio Cairo sounds less distorted than Voice of Turkey, something is wrong. You actually hear the music better on Radio Cairo's frequency of 9800, even though distorted, than Voice of Turkey in 9830. But we have also Radio Romania, 9760.
Attack at Balahan Kubilitan base in Romania and the southeast. On Thursday, intercepted a Russian maritime patrol aircraft above the Black Sea, the UK Ministry of Defense announced on Friday, as quoted by Reuters. It is the second time this week when British planes, which are part of the NATO air policing mission, were mobilized from Romania to intercept 2 Russian fighter planes near NATO's airspace above the Black Sea. Last week, 6 Russian Sukhoi Su-24 Panzer bombers were intercepted above the Black Sea by British fighter planes deployed in Romania, which are meant to ensure the security of NATO's airspace. Nicola Nasta, Secretary of State with the Romanian Defense Ministry, accompanied by a 15-strong detachment of the 15th Mechanized Brigade, Order 9 from Iași, Romania, on Friday participated in Kiev.
So Radio Romania is the good signal, and if you want to listen to distorted signals, you listen to Cairo on 9800 or Turkey on 9830. Bobby Burris, what is the radio on the right side of the screen on the top shelf? Oh, that's the Conicom GP5. It's the Conicom GP5, Bobby. The one I've been using on my Walk in the Park videos. Helton Byington says he's found those Minimus 2.5 at local Salvation Army thrift stores, usually as part of a cheap stereo. They sell for less than $10. Wow. These are good. For a radio, they're really good, honestly. Really, really nice. Unterham 9, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see you on board. Pretty cool to see you on board. It's cool to see everybody here, by the way. From everywhere. It's my birthday. Who wants to buy me a Texan PL 680? Nobody. But you can buy yourself one if you want. Hey, Rick Kelly says, we have an air quality warning in effect as the jet stream has bought us smoke from BC. Absolutely, Ray. I was looking at the way it was all spread out. And the east part is much more spread. Underham, we are listening to Voice of Report of the Week. I do regularly. He even mentioned me so many times on his shows. It's a great laid back, just relaxed show about let's just have a radio show and have music and have fun, honestly. And happy birthday, Hunter Ham. Absolutely. Richard Cook says Romania 9760. Matambali's got the RTTY signal near 9830. Yeah. It usually, the radio teletype signal on 9830 usually actually signs off about 10 to 15 minutes into the show. MDK2's got Cairo on 9799.56. They're drifted even further off frequency than the last time I got them. Hey, Turkey's fixed now. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Voice of Turkey. Hey, Richard Tribble. Nice to have you here. Turkey on 9830.
The U.S. Open tennis tournament begins on Monday.
Hey, Calvin. Nice to have you on board. You missed so many things, Calvin. You have no idea. The ICOM ICR20. Or a American 5 old tube radio.
Tension between Turkey and the U.S. has brought structural and tactical tension. In this virtual house, I can say that Turkey's membership in 1966.
So Voice of Turkey 9830, not bad signal. A little bit distorted still, but yeah, you know. MBK2 says, we've had smoke in Denver for weeks, finally thinning out. We weren't able to see even the foothills less than 10 miles away. Wow. I know that a lot of places really needed to, you guys needed to be careful. I mean, wow. What's the beers on tonight, Calvin? It's the usual Fin de Monde. And I'm number 3 right now, so I'm starting to get a little drunk, actually. You know what, David? And by the way, William Helms, hello there from Florida. Realistic MC1200, huge, but does the job. A lot of realistic speakers and stuff that were actually quite interesting. Honestly, I miss RadioShack totally from the time, can tell you that. And MEK2. I did not listen to the Wolverine, but I did see somebody posting the slow scan TV picture with its special Aretha Franklin show. I wish I would have listened to it, because I mean, Aretha Franklin is like a really big, you know, it's a big name, it's a big voice that disappeared, honestly. And I guess whoever is behind Wolverine wanted to show its support, you know, and it was really something. So like David says, what's surprising is that after so many years of distorted radio Cairo transmitter and or transmitters, they just keep working and doesn't break down even further. You know what? I think the problem is the transmitters are okay and are still pretty good, but whatever feeds the audio is the problem. And it's sad because, I mean, the signal from Radio Cairo is strong. Just look at 9800 right now, okay? 9800. It's giving me a great signal. I'm almost S9 plus 20. The signal's there. Totally there. What's missing is the audio. And it's sad. But that has been such a long time. I remember having Radio Cairo distorted in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, really. It started so long ago. I don't know what. Somebody somewhere is not doing its job. I don't know. I just can't understand why you keep having the crappy audio like that. Because the transmitters obviously work well. I mean, they're packing a better signal than a lot of shortwave transmitters from other countries. It's just the audio is just so bad. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You know. Eric Cottrell says, I miss RadioShack as well. Yeah, you know, RadioShack, for people, for guys like us, was something very special. I mean, we had, and you know what, if I, you know, I'm getting older, and I mean, we're all getting older. But if there's something I'm happy to have, there are two things about radio and electronics I'm happy to have seen. You know, I got to say, I was happy to see the computer revolution from using my first Commodore VIC-20 to today. Wow, amazing times. And, you know, if it wasn't for the Commodore VIC-20, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this, maybe, because I would not even have computers or whatever. I am happy to have seen what Shortwave was at the end of its glory days, where there was so many things to listen to on the air. Wow. I am privileged to have seen that. And for some of you that have never seen it, I know that you would love to see that. And you know what? RadioShack was the store for geeks like us. The store for people that, hey, I go in and there was all this stuff. I remember the catalog. I would drool over the catalog all day long. I would look at that catalog so many times it was like worn out by the end of the year. and they had so many things. It's not, you know, even there's a local store here called you know, Addison. They have a lot of electronic stuff and parts and stuff, but even that store is not the same today as it was when I was 15. It's getting more mainstream, selling more mainstream stuff, and moving away from what we enjoyed, which was what RadioShack actually. Bullfrog in the United States getting drunk. I'm gonna get a visit from Santa Jean. That was a very drunk moment, I gotta say. That was a very drunk moment. Isn't there plans for RadioShack to reopen as part of some stores? And you know what? RadioShack will never be what RadioShack used to be, honestly. You know, RadioShack from back then is very different. Vianney Arsenal misses RadioShack too. Yeah, absolutely. Bobby got Wolverine. Cool. Cool. MDK2 says pretty much all RadioShack used to do is now left to specialty websites that deal in electronic components. It's a shame. They were a cool store in the 80s. Absolutely. They were a cool store for us. Erica Charles says, yes, some of the stores in a hobby store claim will co-host RadioShack. You know what, Calvin? I'm pretty sure to bet. And you know what? Look, Calvin, send them a reception report. Ask them for a QSL, and mention it was distorted all the time, and that there was some music at some time distorted, and there was talk at some time and distorted, and just mention it's distorted. One of the things you'll get a QSL card. And you know what? It's I think a lot of people told him. You know what? They were on Facebook. Voice of Radio Cairo was on Facebook at some point. I haven't seen a post from them in a long time. And I remember people replying to them, "You're always distorted," and they would never reply back to anything. So you know what? For some reason, they don't know what to do, or there's nobody there to do something about it. I don't know. It's sad. Because, I mean, you know, that's, what, 100, 200 kilowatt transmitter? Costs a lot of money to run. Costs a lot of money to run. Why the fuck don't you fix it? Why the hell? Sorry. Why the hell don't you fix it? You know? Richard says Iran is the same good signal with audio sport. Yeah, Iran is not distorted, but Iran has an underpowered audio. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, come on, you know. It's crazy. Hey, I remember being part of the Battery of the Month Club. I could get my free battery. And I remember, I was the boys guy. I always wanted the 9-volt battery because it was the most expensive of all. Take care, Elton Byington. Nice to see you. Tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC is BHF UHF show. Max S. Strong says, I do remember drooling over the RadioShack catalog. Fond memories. David Arden says, I'm glad not the only RadioShack catalog drooler. Oh no, man. There were so many things in there. So many beautiful things in there. I was like, oh man, if I had all the money to buy it. That was crazy. Danny Shortwave Radio X. Yes, I would drool on RadioShack catalog. Oh yeah, it's radio electronics porn. Absolutely. I think we were all a victim of electronic porn through RadioShack catalogs. That is probably the best way to sum it up. Electronic porn. Oh man. Calvin says, I read through that DX100 manual gel, so much better than these modern. Oh man, I tell you, it actually told me what frequency range to listen to what signals. It's that DX100 manual is a beautiful manual compared to what they have today that doesn't explain one thing. Radioactive says, Jill, you have to get parts from Canadian Tire. Yeah. I don't know. And K2 says, Jill just made this R-rated video. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've got ranted in the past for using the F word. So I got to be careful. And I want to be careful. It is not a beautiful word to use. And I accidentally blurted it out, and that's it, you know. MDK just said, there'd have to be nudity for that. What? Eric Control says, I also selected a 9-volt battery for the battery of the Men Club. You know, I mean, it was the best offer. What battery you want? 1 AA? What the hell do you do with 1 AA or 1 C or 1 D battery? Nothing. You need 2 or 4 or whatever. But you could do something with a 9-volt battery. So I would always choose a 9-volt battery. I always would choose a 9-volt battery. Oh, by the way, if you want to drool, Erica Charles shared the website. RadioShackCatalogs.com is the place to go. You will see all the RadioShack catalogs from the past. I've been looking at them. It's like, oh man, remember the memories, man. David. Richard Cook's got WBCQ 7490 with Brother Stare. Myron Marius says Iran is low modulated in shortwave, but also with very strong reception in medium wave AM with very strong transmitters, probably moderated. You know, medium wave and shortwave sometimes have like a different thing. Max S. Strong, I think radios are beautiful like cars, planes, boats, whatever. They are engineering works of art. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I just look at Fastload giving me the Grunning receiver, and it's a sexy radio. I mean, sexy is different for everybody. What's sexy? I mean, if we remove the men and the women that are sexy out of the way, I think there are sexy objects. And what I mean by sexy, and you guys understand that, is there's some really beautifully crafted devices, both radios or you know, like cars. Some people, why, you know, okay, I don't have a car, but I gotta say, a Mustang for me is a sexy car. If I had the money and everything, I'd get a Mustang. It's a sexy car. I mean, my Kenwood R-5000 or even my Icon 8500 is a sexy radio. And what we mean by that is, you know, they're really beautiful electronics, objects of art. I mean, it's not just you put an electronic circuit together. You put a beautifully crafted device. It looks cool, it looks nice, it looks beautiful. And what it has to do. And I mean, let's go back. This comes from far away. Look at the radios advertised in the 50s and the 60s. They were advertised, you know, like those big wooden radios for your living room. They were advertised as sexy devices, sexy radios that fit in your living room, and they are beautiful to fit with the living room decor that you had. I mean, that's sexy. It's sexy in a different way. I mean, these devices were sexy. And today, a lot of stuff we have are sexy. People like Apple stuff for what? I can tell you, as a tech guy, a lot of people tell me, well, I want to have, you know, a Mac because it's sexy. There are some sexy PCs also, and I can tell you that. You know, it's a different way of viewing things. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. William Help says, "Oh no, '68 Pontiac Firebird." You know, I remember I used to think that my dad's Monte Carlo was a sexy car. I look at it today and it's like, wow, it's a clunky, very straightforward box. But in 1982, 81, it was a sexy car because back then we didn't have the curves that the cars have today. That's it, you know? I think it's the same for everybody. Max Estrong says, our radio looks and feels is just as important as the raw performance. I mean, if you are like me, you look at both. You look at the performance, but come on. Let's put 3 radios in your face. 2 square boxes with a knob, and 1 that looks amazingly cool. And you tell everybody, the cool radio here, it's a little more expensive, but it performs as well as the 2 square boxes. You're going to get that cool radio because there's part of you that wants the performance out of it, and part of you that wants the sexy side of it, what it looks like. Now, that said, if a clunky square radio outperforms everything, I am still capable of buying a clunky square radio because it's much better than the other ones though. And you know what? Somehow I will probably find that the clunky square radio is still sexy. Pretty much. Pretty much. You know. Max Headstrong says, oh, the Allied Electronics. Yeah. There were a lot. You know what? Richard Tribble, actually, what we're talking about here when you talk about that. RadioShack, Allied Electronics. I had one here with Abra Electronique, which is amazing. Lafayette catalog. I think we actually lived in an era where there were amazing catalogs for what we loved. You know, it's like, I don't remember with who we were talking about, but we were talking about the Sears. We were talking about the Sears Christmas catalog when I was 12 or 13 years old. All the toys. I mean, come on. The Sears Christmas catalog. Oh my God. That was amazing. What I mean is, I think we had amazing catalogs from all of these. Yes, they were free also. Absolutely. That also was amazing. I mean, it's something that today is gone. We had the possibility to have all of that. Free catalogs, amazing looking catalogs, drooling over whatever we wanted to have or would like to have, because honestly, we didn't have the money to buy all of it. But man, it was crazy. I remember it was crazy. And I mean, as a young guy here in Canada, we had consumer distributing. I remember the Christmas catalog of that was amazing. Sears catalog at Christmas was amazing as a young teenager. Early, you know, even not even a teenager. I was like, 10, 12 years old while looking at the gifts and looking at all the stuff in the catalog. I mean, we lived in an era of amazing catalogs that we would just go through and just all the beautiful things that were in there. It was just crazy. Just crazy times, honestly. Dave Todd says, I like my old R71A, but the waterfall on the SDR display is cool. You know what? It's 2 different things. I mean, if I had my hands on R71A, it would be it had a proud place here in my collection because it's a beautiful radio. One of the beautiful radios that were ever made. But waterfall has something. It has something special. Absolutely. A little self-promotion here, if you guys can see it. If you like what I do, please consider PayPal donation. at my Yahoo email address. And if, wait, let me, okay. And if you enjoy what I do, please consider a little donation. There's also the patreon.com website, patreon.com/radio and computers. If you enjoy what I do, it helps me pay for everything, and also make sure that the show continues. If you enjoy what I do, I'm getting drunk, really. I'm kind of, it's as if I've not drank in a while. I don't know why. Maybe I'm drinking a little faster tonight. David in Barcelona says one of the things that I love about IC 8500 is that it just disappears when I'm using it. The performance is really natural and also adapt very well to the way the radio is interacted with. Yeah, it is. You know, it's a beautiful radio. I will never sell my 8500. Honestly, it's a beautiful, beautiful radio. Bobby Burgess getting CHU on 7850. Let me try it out here just for the fun of it. I always like the strong beers, MDK2. Oops. I always like the strong beers. The taste of the Fins du Monde is like really good. I'm not getting it there. Let's try 3330. Barely making it in the noise. Max, that's wrong. Is switching to red wine. Life is good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on. Just say the 20-meter band just for the fun of it. So anything in the 20-meter band? So 1420, there's something. 20-meter band is active. There are some signals on 20 meters. Richard Coe's got something on 14246. DK2 no CHU at any of its frequencies here in Denver. Northern part of Italy. So 14265 Upper Sideman. There's a guy in northern Italy. Which web SDR do you use? Well, this is not a web SDR, by the way. This is my Fedry SDR, which is right here in my location in Montreal. But I like SDR.HU because it has a lot of receivers online, honestly. I need to check my email according to Jerry DX, so I'm going to check email. And so what do we have? Kiwi SDR. I successfully set up my Kiwi SDR. Type in Kingsville, Ontario in the search. Oops. I shouldn't tell it. Okay, that's cool. I should not have said anything, apparently. So I'm going to check it out. So here, yep. Okay, sorry, Jerry. I just blurted out whatever you don't want me to talk about. Nope, this is not a WebSDR, Spuds TV. This is a this is my ephedry SDR. Right here, I've got a 75 feet sloper antenna in the backyard hooked to it. So this is from my location here in Montreal right now. So there's a station in Italy on 14.265. Let's check it out here on the ICOM. 14.265. Let's check it out. Upper sideband. Upper sideband. Here we go. That's on the ICOM. India Kilo 4 station, 14.265 on the ICOM. So I hear it there also. Hey, SWL60N. Nice to have you here from Stockholm, Sweden. Pretty cool. Richard Cook's got Pyongyang on 11.680 with music. Cool. Bobby Burgess getting 20 meter activity there also. Cool. David says, when I'm using the ICR 8500, it's something like if I was dealing directly with signals out of the antenna. To me, really natural. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean, because I mean, you got a box that's getting the signal. You're dealing with the signal directly there. You know, it's like, I would say, yeah, okay. It feels more natural, and I understand what you're saying, to have the signal coming out of my ICOM. It's a radio. It's a box that receives the signals and just sending it whatever. That I understand, totally understand. But you know what? I like the visuals of an SDR, I gotta say. Spuds TV, does the computer not create noise? Not that much, honestly. I choose what computer is running what, and the ephedry is actually running on its own. It's on my network, so it's plugged on my router, directly on my router, and this is actually wireless. Well, it's not wirelessly anymore because I got a Ethernet cable now, but I'm getting it through my own network, and it's cool because if I want to tune my ephedry on any computer, I can take a laptop computer and just, you know, tune my ephedry anywhere in the house with my wireless, my Wi-Fi network. It's kind of cool. It's really kind of cool. Nice Strong says, if I can only get my R8600 display to export to large screen, that would be nice, honestly. You know, honestly, if there's something that should be there for an R8600, especially, you know, it's, let's face it, the ICOM R8600 is a software-defined receiver in a box. Take care, Richard Tribble. Always nice to have you on board. And, you know, why not have an output to just add an HDMI out for any whatever TV and have the display on the, you know, 50-inch TV or whatever. Max Strong says, all I ever want in my life is a 42-inch band scope. Imagine 50-inch in my living room. Richard says you should try 11.680. I'll try it. Oops. One too many. Yeah, 11.680. I'm gonna hear nothing. At all. Nothing at all. There's a really good signal from Brazil, Radio Nacional Amazonas in Portuguese on 11.780.
Bolsa da Isonomia, prêmios pagos a atletas homens e mulheres. Bancada Moralista quer ampliar programa de regularização tributária. Projeto Abriga Souza dá remédio contra câncer em fase avançada.
Radio Nacional Amazonas from Brazil, and event 780.
Proposta que inclui a atenção integral pelo Sistema Único de Saúde para os pacientes com câncer de mama e de colo de útero em estágio avançado.
Pretty good signal. Amy Kilomaj, nice to have you here in Sherwood Poker Park. Okay, I gotta do it again. Sherwood Park. It was nice to see you last week, I gotta say. First day I've not been in shorts all summer. Cool and rainy. Wow. Should have stayed in Montreal. Absolutely, we're still in summer here. It's sunny. It's 28 Celsius. It's great. You should have been here. Absolutely. And it was nice to see you last week. I can tell you that. Calvin says, I was wondering if I could set up my Yaesu FT990 with a cat cable to display a waterfall show. Well, I don't know. I really don't know, Calvin. Honestly, it depends on what is available out of that radio. And I don't know what the FT990 is capable of actually sending out. It all depends what's sending out. I gotta say, FT990, I don't know. It all depends on what it's sending out. Max Estrong says, and when I ask about it in the support group, they point to a bunch of homebrew software and beta test stage. You know what? One of the things Max Estrong, though, is that the ICOM R8600 is going to have firmware upgrades. And, I mean, come on. That display in the front is a little computer display. Nah, there must be a way. There must be a way. Somebody somewhere is going to do something about it, for sure. Matambale says 11780, pretty hot. Colorado, S9 Plus. Cool. Cool. Yeah. It's okay, Max, that's wrong. You know, we all rant about our devices. I rant about my radios all the time. I can tell you that. You know? I rant. I regularly rant, and you gotta be there, and you gotta just decide that you paid for a radio, and you gotta deal with what the radio is all about. Honestly, So Dark Noise NL, nice to have you here from Netherlands. Jerry DX, working good. Just have to fine tune the antenna. Cool. Radio Freak, hey, nice to have you on board from Belgium. What about WRMI 9395? Most be a last signal in the US. You know what? 9395 is not that strong here most of the time. If I look at it right now, this is what it looks like. I'm in Canada, and 9395 never been a very strong signal here in Canada, honestly. Mountain Valley says at 2.6K, $2,600, you have the right to rant. I'm sure you do love it, but I understand the rant of what cannot be done and what should be done with it, It's I've ranted with a lot of things that I've had in life. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to rant about things, and especially when you pay a high amount of dollars for a specific device, it's totally normal that you rant about it. Honestly, it's totally normal. But it's just amazing. Okay, so you're watching the Shortwave Radio show from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Tomorrow we're going to have a VHF UHF show. We'll tune around satellites, amateur satellites. We'll look at all the new satellites available, what are the different modes and everything. So it's I think it's going to be a nice show. So anything else, guys? Because 2 hours 45, we're almost at 3 hours. I'm gonna slowly wind it down. I'm gonna go make some barbecue. No, actually, I'm gonna go make some kind of Asian soup with chicken. I'm really getting hungry here. So anything else before we leave? It's nice, always nice to have you guys on board. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. It was a nice show. Went really fast. I mean, 2 hours 45, and I mean, come on, you know. It's just crazy. Oh yeah, absolutely, David. I understand that. I understand that. No, it's not going to be well, there will be some wonton in it, but there will be some, like, you know, are cables better off the ground than hanging? If you have an antenna, you better have your wire antennas hanging high off the ground. For the rest, coax and stuff like that doesn't matter. Really, honestly. I think Jill should have a live webcam. That way we can catch him whatever we want. You know, that's a bad idea, Backset Strong, and I'm going to tell you why. I was one of the first to ever have a webcam. And in pretty much everybody that I knew about. And, I don't know, 1997, 8, something like that. I had a 3-com webcam, which was amazing for the time, but it was like $250. And the first ever website that I came through that had live cams, you could put your cam there and just leave it there 24 hours a day. And I started doing, you know, tech jobs, and I thought, hey, a webcam in my office would be cool. Why not? So I had a webcam, and I had this desk. I bought it back then. I put the webcam like here, and it was like showing my office. And everything was well and okay for a long time. Until one day, I'm really in a hurry, and I get into the office, and I'm wearing just my boxer shorts. And, of course, you know, on the screen here, well, that screen, but on the computer screen, I would see the number of viewers, and the number of viewers were like going up. And I was like, okay. I was like, and I realized when I looked at the number, oh, God, I'm live on the internet in my boxer shorts. That's where I understood a 24-hour cam is not a good idea, because you forget about it, and then you end up doing things. And you know what? On that day, I had my boxer shorts, but I had to change. I was about to remove my boxer shorts. I had like my hands inside. I said, what the hell are you doing, man? Don't do that here. Do it in the bedroom. People are watching. I also understood that half of the internet is dirty-minded and wants to see naked people, but that's another thing. But you know what? That just means no 24-hour cam, because you forget it and you just don't know. At some point you do something and like, oh God, everybody's watching me now. So anyways, you know, that's pretty much. Dark Knight says, don't leave Jill or the pizza and go on. Oh, man. Radio Freak. This is the first time I see this great live YouTube channel about Shortwave. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be here on the VHF UHF channel, which is another channel. But we're here every Friday as Radio Freak. 2000 hours UTC. Well, order pizza. Jill pizza has another hour. Oh man, what's 95.4 French? Maybe it's coming from France, Richard. You know, I mean, it's like, it's just crazy. Yeah, on the air lamp. Maybe I need that big sign or something. Absolutely. Oh man. Oh, you can't put the link Radio Free because you need to be a moderator for that. You know, I've had a lot of people telling me I should do a 24-hour thing, and sometimes I think about it. Maybe a 24-hour show of some sort. I've you know, this year on New Year's, I am not sure we're gonna have something necessarily, and I thought about it, and I'm not promising anything right now. But would you guys like a 24-hour Happy New Year thing? Meaning, I would start at some specific time, and every time there would be a time zone with a New Year, we would like just do New Year stuff, Happy New Year, and we'd start over every hour and take like a sip of, you know, bubbly wine or something, and we'd go through for 24. And I'd have guests and I'd have people around. I'd have, you know, my nephew, I would have anybody that wants to join in, just join in. And we would have, I was thinking of all sorts of things like trivia. You know, like trivia of shortwave, trivia of all sorts of electronics, anything that is a little geeky for radio guys. So, I don't know. It's still far off, but then again, it's like, you know, but it would really, honestly, I would be up for 24 hours. And it would stream for 24 hours. Okay? But it would have to restart every 6 hours because YouTube has a 6-hour limit for the streams. But we would do a 24-hour thing. And we would be like Happy New Year to Papua New Guinea and whatever. So, you know, I don't know. You know, it's New Year's, Bullfrog. It would be like, you know, I take coffee all the time, so I'll be just... And, you know, people come in and out. I mean, people will not watch for 24 hours. That's the way it goes, is people come in and out of the live stream. Pretty much, you know. So that could be cool. That would be cool. Oh, no, if I have to do it, I'll do 24. I'm not going to do 8 first. I'm going to do 24, and that's it. We're going to go for it. I mean, if we do it, we do go for it. I can tell you that. Well, don't worry, Max is strong about my health. I can tell you that. Me and my brother, we drink for 24 hours, and, like, you know, it's life. There's really, really no problem with that. I'd just be really, really tired and probably sleep for 2 days after it. But, you know, I would not drink all the time. I would drink, like, I would take a sip of, you know, just a Happy New Year, and then I'd have coffee the rest of the time. So, it would kind of, really, really kind of cool. So anyways, that's something. That's something. Max says, that's right, your Canadians are tough. Hey man, come on. So yeah, Skype interaction would be there. There could be a lot of things. I mean, you guys might have ideas of, you should do this and that, and you should add this or that, and we could like do a 24-hour whatever, and we could tune the bands once an hour, like Richard Cook said. Would be interesting to tune the bands. You know what? We could have part of that hour always what's to hear every hour for 24 hours on the shortwave bands. That would be one thing. We could have trivia. We could have electronics trivia. We could have guests. We could have all sorts of things happening. I mean, think about it. It's September, October, November, December, 4 months away. And it could be very surprising. what could happen. So, of course, I would tell my neighbors that I'd be on for 24 hours to make sure that they don't go crazy over the fact that I talk for 24 hours loudly in a room. But I think it would be okay for New Year's, you know. So anyways, we could do, you know, we could do something. I think it would be nice. And I think it would be really cool. So, hey guys, take care. Love you all. And tomorrow, VHF, UHF, we'll tune amateur satellites on this radio. You will have a lot of fun. So take care, everybody. And Sunday morning, I'm on the International Radio Report with Sheldon and David, 1430 UTC, CKUT.ca for the streaming, 90.3 FM in Montreal for the radio side. Take care, my friends. Love you all. It's always really cool to see you. And like Richard that says 5 minutes short. You really want to have a 3 hour, eh? See you tomorrow. Love you all. And shortwave forever. Amateur radio forever. Okay, guys. And don't forget, I want you guys to send in those reception reports and those letters and those emails to All India Radio. Hey, Juan Amigo. Nice to have you here from Barcelona. Take care. Love you, my friends. It's always cool to see you. And stay safe.